Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Diego Dario.
We give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Zihir Basho. In tonight's Game Plan, we'll break down the latest developments in the NBA with the NBA hype and all-star analyst Isaac Gold.
We'll also look ahead to the matchup between Gilas Pilipinas and India on home soil for the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. And we'll talk about the top storylines to follow in the upcoming PVL 2022 Invitational Conference. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. The NBA is at an exciting point of the season and we're seeing a lot of movement for the superstars, and KD, Kevin Durant, is the biggest name that wants out. And you can see the stats of KD. He's averaged 29 points per game and 29 points per game, and he's really a superstar that a lot of teams will be trying to get and try to move pieces just to get him. And joining us to discuss the key signings and rumors is NBA hype and all-star analyst Isaac God. George, how are you, brother?
I'm good. I'm recovering, and hopefully I can go to the studio soon.
All right, so we're gonna play a game called Go Big or Go Home. Of course, you're Big Chill. It's basically simple. If you agree with a statement, you say go big. If you don't agree with the statement, go home. You're very, very familiar with this. Z, take us away.
All right, first up, KD still has 4 years left in his contract, but go big or go home, will he join the Phoenix Suns?
Ooh. I think this is a go home. Just because I'm trying to imagine what kind of package Phoenix will have to put up to get KD. And as much as KD wants to go there, we've seen what value guys like DeJounte Murray, Paul George, and these monster trades have. And I don't think Phoenix have the assets to make such a move. Especially, they don't have DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker is untouchable. So I just don't see Phoenix making a package to make it enticing for Brooklyn to trade him there.
Yeah, great point, George, because the Nets also said that if they're gonna give up KD to the Suns, they will need D-Book, and I don't think that's gonna happen for the Phoenix Suns. So do you think that KD is a good fit for the Miami Heat? Because he also mentioned that that is one of his preferred destinations when it comes to trades.
I think any team would be a good fit for KD. I think it's just about whether the team is going to contend. Because we know that there will be teams like Orlando, Detroit, who do have enough assets to make it interesting and enticing for Brooklyn to get him. But KD doesn't want to go there because we know KD is getting up there in age. He wants to contend. He wants to win another championship. So that for me is he's going to fit anywhere. You put him on any team, he's going to fit.
And speaking of D-Book and the Suns,
Yep.
number 2 on the list, Suns with a back-to-back playoff appearance. Will they get a ring this time with D-Book?
Ooh.
I'm a go home on this one again.
Also?
Just because. Number one, I think they're losing DeAndre Ayton, and that's going to be a big factor. Chris Paul is getting up there in age. And the West is only getting better. We saw Memphis get better, Minnesota, and you have all these teams now just make it much more difficult, especially, and we saw Golden State just won. Denver is going to get Jamal Murray back. So it's just going to make the waters even more murky, and I don't see a clear path for the Suns to win a ring.
And earlier, you saw the stats of D-Book in the playoffs. 26 points, 5 rebounds, and almost 5 assists also. What is the next level here for D-Book in order for them to make it back to the finals or even win everything and win the NBA championship? What's next for him, Big Chill?
For D-Book, because we already know D-Book is a superstar in the league. So the next step he has left is going to be a legend, an all-time great type of player. And we know that he can do it. We've seen what he's capable of. We've seen the growth in the last few years. But he's already at such an elite level that if he manages to make that next leap, whether it be scoring, defense, passing, it's just gonna put him now in the conversation of the best in his draft class, and even in consideration maybe for the top 100 players of all time.
All right, and speaking of winning it all, third on the list, will Atlanta make it to the finals?
That's tough. That's
This
tough.
hurts. This hurts me because I'm a Spurs man, and they traded they got DeJounte Murray.
Okay, what are you feeling
Um,
right now? They traded your superstar, a walking triple-double, George.
It's a tank move where the Spurs are just rebuilding. And we knew that DeJounte Murray was an asset both for a tanking team and for a contending team. But for Atlanta to make the finals, I don't think they're good enough still to beat Milwaukee, to beat Philadelphia. Those are the current, and the Boston Celtics. Those are currently the top three teams in the East. So I think that this pushes Atlanta maybe into that conversation of the fourth, fifth seed mid-year. And if they play well enough, maybe into a third or second seed. But I still don't see them making the NBA finals.
And George, just a quick follow-up. How do you think the DeJounte Murray will affect the play style of Trae Young? Both are very ball dominant. How do you think this will play out?
I think they complement each other because now it gives Trae Young another guy who can create, who can slash, which will give Trae Young more opportunities to spot up and not have to create so much offense. At the same time now, with having a transcendent shooter like Trae Young, DeJounte Murray will be able to get into the paint more.
All right, last on the list, drafted by the Wizards in 2012-2013 season, will Bradley Beal retire with the Wizards?
Ooh, he just signed the extension. He signed the
Yeah, he
super
just
max.
did.
But I think that with the way we talk about superstars these days, where the number one criteria is a championship, I don't think he retires with Washington. I think eventually he will get frustrated if the Wizards don't change, if the Wizards continue to be one of the bottom dwellers in the Eastern Conference. I think that he will get frustrated and would want to move out.
All right, well, that's it for Go Big or Go Home with Isaac Goth. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, but I'll still be here.
Yes,
We'll
sir,
see you
for
soon.
the next one.
Oh, yeah. We'll see you in the next body. All right, and after the break, we'll talk Gilas Pilipinas as they look ahead to their upcoming matchup with India in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to the game. It's back to the drawing board for Gilas Pilipinas after a tough loss against New Zealand. As they look to bounce back against India on home soil, Gilas and Terra Firma Jeep, big man Isaac Go is still with us to share his keys to winning.
What's up, Isaac?
You're
Well,
back.
welcome back. Welcome back. So that's the see you soon, just a few
See you
minutes
soon.
after.
Yes.
So Coach Nena actually, Isaac, said after the New Zealand game that the goal now is to focus on fixing the negatives. And you gave us a couple of key points, what they should improve on, and Z will have it. Take it away.
All right, you gave us 4 items on this list, and first up is they have to be physical this time around.
I think that comes into every game, and number one was that when we saw against when you go into the international stage, the game gets much more physical. The referees kind of let you play more, and I think when I meant by be physical, it just means like you can't back down from the comp. We saw Carl Tamayo got into a scuffle at one game. Hindi siya magpapatalo talaga, and that's what you have to build on, no matter who you're playing. Because if you throw the first, it's always easier to throw the first punch rather than wait for the opponent to throw the first punch and then now you're reeling back. So that's what I mean by be physical.
And Isaac, New Zealand out-rebounded Gilas 49-40, and they were outscored also in the paint and second chance points. But how do you balance being that physical in the international stage and also defending without fouling? That's really a tough balance, right, Isaac?
Definitely, and I think the first thing you have to do is to watch how the referees call the game. Usually the refs are relatively consistent throughout the game. And so how they first call the first few minutes, then you can have a feel for it that, okay, they're calling it a little bit tight or they're letting us play. Then through the course of the game, you just have to learn how to adjust to the calls. If the referee all of a sudden starts calling it very tight, you just have to learn how to adapt to the situation and adjust to the referees because they are the ones officiating the game.
All right, next on your list is they have to execute with speed and precision.
With that, when you watch the game, I think that this was a product of having to run a new offense in such a short amount of time that they seem comfortable at times, but I think they don't understand the little nuances of yet. And of course, a lot of these guys haven't played together. You have guys like Renz Abando first time, Kevin Cambao first, and it's still adjusting, learning how to play with these guys. And eventually, we saw that the pick and roll started to struggle. And even Coach Nena said at the timeout, like, we're not getting off the pick and roll. Look for a little bit more handoffs. And the 19 turnovers is a lot. And these are things you have to control if you want to win games.
And that's a great point. I mean, they had 19 turnovers, resulting to 32 points for New Zealand. I think that's too much when you give up points from those errors. But do you think when it comes to speed and precision, they should put up the pace, especially with the lack of size, without Ange on the floor, and maybe even without Carl Tamayo?
I think whether you're big or small, you always want to push the pace.
Yeah.
But of course, you want to do it in such a way you're not turning the ball over because we always talk about Diego, right? How defense is the one we want to apply pressure when we're on the defensive end. But if you're able to play with speed and precision on the offensive end, you as the offensive team are putting pressure on the defense that, hey, you're going to have to guard us. We're going to execute. We're going to do it very fast. And there have been times where, man, I'm just like on defense and the offense, like we're the ones reeling because the offense is just executing.
That's a great point. And the next one is very basic, Z. What is it?
Yes, and speaking of precision and maybe some more excellence, fine-tuning, they need to make more hit shots.
I think that we can talk about all the keys in the game, but sometimes it boils down to hitting shots. Gilas, I think, did a good job of executing that. They were able to get open looks at times. It's just that they have to convert it. Maybe it was the weather in New Zealand. Maybe it was the flight. And maybe they're just adjusting because we saw Carl Tamayo play shot well, Renz Abando, and eventually, of course, we expect them when they come home and play at home court, they're gonna shoot better. So I think that's gonna happen.
Yeah, George. I mean, 4 out of 26. That's a night you want to forget when you're Gilas, right? But what does that do with your offense when you make your shots from the outside? What does that do with the whole complexion of the game?
It works both. It works in such a way that if, let's say, you're starting to meet your mid-range, you're starting to get to the basket with layups, now the defense will have the tendency to pack the pin because you're getting layups, which opens up the outside shot. At the same time, if you're hitting your outside shot, if, let's say, Carl and Renz hit what they did in the game, it forces the defense to spread out a little bit more, making it a lot easier to penetrate, making the help side just a little bit late, rotations a little bit longer. And sometimes that could mean a difference between a wide open shot and a challenge shot.
All right, and you've been mentioning his name earlier on, Carl Tamayo. Let's talk about his impact and what he can do for the team.
I mean, he had 16 points, George, but still not sure if he will be able to play. He tweaked his ankle in that one. So how important is it for the other big guys to step up, Isaac?
This Carl provides, I think we saw scoring and outside shooting, but another thing provides his toughness, and we saw it. He pushed the New Zealand player out of the way. He wasn't going to back down. And it's that kind of competitiveness and angas that you need, that you're not going to back down, that hey, we may be considered underdogs in this game. Hey, you may be up 20 points, but di pa rin ang magpapatalo. And with him maybe not playing, it provides some of the other guys more opportunity to maybe to get a bigger offensive role or to even just get 4 minutes in general.
All right, ito na talaga. Thank you so much for your insights, Isaac. And we'll look forward to that stronger, tougher team this Sunday.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thank you for having me.
All right, once again, Gilas Pilipinas will be facing India this Sunday, July 3, at the SM Mall of Asia Arena. You can catch it live on One Sports, One Sports Plus, TV5, Signal Play, and Smart Giga Play. And after the break, we'll put the spotlight on the top teams and players to watch out for in the upcoming 2022 PVL Invitational Conference. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game.
You're watching The Game. The countdown begins for the 2022 PVL Invitational Conference happening on July 9 at the Phil Oil Flying V Arena. On opening day, the Signal HD Spikers and Army Black Mamba will kick off the conference at 2:30 p.m. And at 5:30 p.m., the Choco Mucho Flying Titans will battle it out against the Cherry Tigo Crossovers. Now, what can we expect from the country's top volleyball athletes as they get ready to face two foreign guest teams? And to answer that and more, my co-host and cargo mover, Z Hervasio, will share her top contenders for this conference. Bakit pa tayo lalayo? Nandito na si Z. But first, Z, you gave us talk points. You gave us, the top contenders for this upcoming conference. And you started it off with Cherry Tigo. Jaja Santiago will be returning, and they also have a new coach. And very interesting yung story ng Cherry Tigo because they won that first championship as a pro league in 2021. And then 2022, they lost Jaja and they finished with in the 8th place.
That's right. It's very exciting that Jaja will be seeing some action here on our home soil. So a lot of people, a lot of fans, and actually pati ako na-excite na makita siya. This time, you can really tell that she is the glue of the team, keeping everybody together. And I think one thing also, aside from Jaja, Maylene Paat, as soon as she finished her stint in Thailand, she flew back to Manila and then salang kagad sa laro. Kaya medyo parang it wasn't the right timing for her in her bigger perspective in her career. So parang ngayon, na nakapahinga, nakakuha na ng momentum, I'm definitely excited that they're gonna come back.
And they also have a new coach. How important is that? You have your old players, returning players, but you have a new coach. Paano yung adjustment nun when it comes to the ball game?
No doubt naman the Cherry Tigo crossovers have that skill, high level yan. But with the coach, it's really the system and how the system fits with these professional and high caliber players. We saw naman si Coach Aying, he's been exposed to several teams. He's coaching NCAA teams. He's part of the UST coaching staff as well. In the previous conference, he was also part of the coaching staff for Bali Pure naman. And this time, he will be head coaching naman. So, let's see how he can maximize the players for Cherry Tigo.
So, grabe rin yung experience coming into being a head coach here for Cherry Tigo. But let's move on to your next contender, Signal HD Spikers. I'm sure they're very eager to make it to the finals because in the 2022 Open Conference, they were 3rd place. They defeated Choco Mucho in that battle for 3rd for the podium finish.
That's right. What's interesting here, actually, Diego, is that they almost made it to the finals.
Yeah.
In their pool, sila yung undefeated. And then, nagkatapat sila ng Petrogas. In their series naman, they faced off. They stretched the whole series to the 3rd game, and yun nga lang, kinapos sa dulo. That's why they fell to play. They fell to the lower series naman na magbabattle for 3rd. And I'm sure with that experience, with that excellent performance in the beginning, that's what they're hoping for this next conference naman.
With the Signal HD Spikers, when it comes to the players, sino yung talagang aasahan nila going into this new conference?
I guess looking at the previous performance ng team, Rachel Dakis has been very solid for their team. Talagang ang sinasabi nga nila, talagang yung number 3 jersey niya, which is her jersey number back when she was in college, might have been the parang spark.
Parang
or
throwback, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
parang college Rachel Dakis to. A lot of people were saying that. And we're expecting that she will still perform and deliver this conference.
And I'm pretty sure that firepower will be there
Yes.
with the way she works also. But talking about firepower, Jovelyn Gonzaga will add firepower to this Army Black Mamba team. She didn't play in the last Open Conference, but she is back. The Bionic Ilongga will be playing here in the next conference.
The Bionic lefty, si Jovelyn Gonzaga, is now back after her SEA Games beach volleyball stint. Congratulations, by the way, Jov. She got 3rd place bronze medal in the Southeast Asian Games. And now, balik indoor naman siya. And a lot of people, even I included, na parang siya talaga yung missing piece in the Black Mamba Army. And that's definitely someone to look forward to kasi siya talaga yung isa pang glue. Kung may glue sa Cherry Tigo, which is Jaja, siya naman dito sa Black Mamba.
And you mentioned na there will be a transition from beach volleyball to indoor volleyball. You've experienced that firsthand, right, Z? How hard is that transition? It's a very different ball game.
It is a different ballgame. A lot of people have this misconception na it's the same, it's volleyball. But it's definitely different. 2 versus 6, outdoor, indoor. And especially at this level, the surface. Kasi
Yeah.
pinaglalabanan natin dito yung longevity, yung health natin, especially with a schedule like this na medyo tight, medyo back-to-back. Talagang your health is very important. And, well, I have trust in Jovelyn. Kaya niya yan.
For sure. I mean, I've tried training in on the sand,
On the
you know,
sand.
yung mga extra training pag off-season, it's very
Yes.
different, mas nakakapagod. But again, thank you for your insights, Z, for
Thank you,
this
Diego.
one. But take us away.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm Zihir Basho.
Catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. I'm Diego Dario, and this has been The Game.